Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people, where the people are quite entitled. If you enjoy, do all the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, leave a comment with your stories. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? My entitled neighbor steals my package and regrets it. I've been lurking in this sub for a while, and I wanted to share this story that happened a few weeks ago. I, 30 female, am a hobbyist. As such, I order additions to my collection that are delivered via post or courier. Now, my entitled neighbor, 28 female, moved into her house roughly 3 months ago with her 19-year-old son. I was close friends with the people who lived there previously, and I had them listed as trusted neighbor to deliver packages to if I'm not home. Since she moved in, I have changed that with the post services. But unfortunately, there are a few of the delivery people who have not had that information. Sadly, I have had a few parcels delivered to the entitled neighbor, and when I have gone to collect my parcel, she denied knowledge, or has given me an already opened package and used the excuse that her son accidentally opened it. So last week I had a delivery coming with several special and expensive additions to my collection, and decided to work from home to make sure I received my package. I started work at my usual time of 9 a.m., having double checked that my doorbell was set to its loudest setting, and got on with my work. I have a tendency to get absorbed in my work, so by the time I realized that it was 12:30 p.m. and my package was supposed to have been delivered before then, I started to worry. The first thing I did was check my emails to see if I had been notified of a delay. My heart sank when I saw the message saying my package had been delivered to my selected neighbor. I left my house and went straight to my neighbor's house to knock on the door. When she opened the door, she gave me a look that said she was definitely not happy to see me. "Hi, entitled neighbor. I just had a notification that my package has been delivered here. Please, may I have it?"
There's nothing here.
"I was emailed by the courier service that they delivered to your address." Entitled neighbor was obviously getting angry.
I just freaking told you, there's nothing here for you.
"Please, can you?" Before I could finish, she slammed the door in my face. I was obviously annoyed and knocked on her door again, and waited, but she completely ignored me for at least 10 minutes. Feeling frustrated, I went back home and called the courier service, wanting the delivery person to come back and make sure I got my package back. I was on hold for quite a while before I finally got through to someone. Just as I was telling the service operator what was happening, my doorbell rang several times, and then there was repeatedly loud banging coming from my front door, followed by the bell again. I asked the operator to hold on for a moment while I checked who was at my door. I opened the door, and there was entitled neighbor, red-faced, with her son who was crying.
There's a freaking huge spider loose in my house because of you.
"Yes, I collect tarantulas. True spiders and lots of other inverts." At first I was scared that entitled neighbor had harmed one of my new tarantulas, but I couldn't keep the sarcasm out of my voice. "Oh, so you did get my package after all."
Yes, and now there's a huge fucking spider in my living room. You need to get it out of my house. Now.
"One moment." I closed my door and talked to the operator, who had heard everything. Since I already told them that what was in the package, they were laughing down the phone. I told them I would have to go rescue my spider from the crazy Karen. I grabbed a catch cup and paintbrush from my spider room and opened my front door again. Entitled neighbor was still stood there looking furious, and her son was now completely sobbing. "Okay, show me where it was."
I fucking hate you.
I couldn't help but smile as entitled neighbor took me into her house and showed me to her living room where my package was on her floor, next to a knife that had obviously been used to open it, and the container that the tarantula had been shipped in. Thankfully, the tarantula was simply hiding under her sofa, and I was able to get it to come out with my handy paintbrush and caught it in the catch cup. I put it back into its shipping container and then picked up my package. Got her.
Finally! Now get that thing out of my house. It terrified my son and I'm arachnophobic. Don't you dare get any more of those bug things.
Excuse me. You're the one that opened a package that was mine, even after I came to collect it. The entitled neighbor looked shocked.
Yes, well, my son likes to open packages, and I thought it was another one of those gadgets you got. He loves to play with them.
I laughed, as she obviously hadn't realized that she had just admitted to stealing my previous packages. Just so you know, I work for a company that sends me product prototypes. So you have been stealing from me. I swear if you ever open one of my packages again, I'm getting the police involved and having you charged with theft. Before she could say anything, I pushed past her and went back home. Thankfully, the tarantula was unharmed and has happily settled into her new enclosure. Since then, I've contacted every courier service in my area and demanded they never leave anything at her address again. There has been one incident where a package from work was delivered to her, but as soon as I knocked on her door, she just handed me the unopened box and closed the door in my face. Much to her son's disappointment, if his yelling wasn't anything to go by. Moral of the story is, don't open someone else's package. It might just contain giant spiders. You raised me. Now you have to raise my kids. An earlier post reminded me of something that happened a few years ago. Thanks to my immigrant grandparents working very hard and managing their finances really well, my family is comfortably middle class. My grandparents were able to buy their kids, aunts and uncles, used cars when said kids turned 16. My aunts and uncles bought used cars for their kids when my cousins turned 16. One of my cousins was furious when his child was turning 16, and my aunt and uncle weren't going to buy their grandchild a car. Their exchange went roughly like this, per my cousin's rant to me after the fact. Cousin said, "But it's a tradition." Yes, and as the parent, if you want to carry on the tradition, you buy your child a vehicle, said the aunt. But that's not fair! Do you need to borrow money? We can loan the money to you up to a certain amount of money, and you can pay us back no interest. But I shouldn't have to pay you back. You bought me a car. My child is expecting to receive a car. And this went on and on. This cousin isn't the eldest nor the first to have kids. The other cousins bought vehicles for their own kids. I don't get where this entitlement came from. His parents aren't pushovers, so their final offer was a loan with a contract, because if Auntie loaned you money, she was going to get it back. The cousin used his own money and bought his kid a used car, but complained about it until his own son told him he was wrong. LOL. Entitled Trespasser is calling animal control. So, this happened today. I have a German Shepherd who doesn't like strangers. I had a contractor at my house, so I had to put my dog outside. We have a fenced-in yard, but I have my dog on the tie-out because the contractor was sawing in the driveway, and my dog can see him from the gate. I heard my dog barking, so I immediately went outside to put the kibosh on it. She was barking at this stranger, at an unknown woman walking through the yard, inches from my fence on my neighbor's side. This woman looked at me with disgust and yelled,
"You'll need to bring that dog inside."
I said, "What? Not that it's any of your business, but I have a contractor working, so I had to put her out here in my yard." She said,
"You need to put that dog in the basement then."
I said, "He's working down there too." She immediately said she's calling animal control. I yelled back, "Because she's barking at you?" She said,
"No, because it's cold and she's been out there for half an hour."
My dog was out there for 15 minutes. It was 38 degrees with flurries. I wasn't even wearing a jacket and I wasn't cold at all. I yelled that she's fine and it hasn't even been a half hour. I don't know who you are, but you're walking through here and you need to mind your own business. She said again,
"I'm calling animal control."
I said, "Who do you think you are trespassing?" She said, "I know, insert neighbor's name."
"And I live over there, which is behind us on another street. So she's totally cutting through on my side."
I said, "I guess I need to talk to neighbor about your cutting through." She started walking away and yelling that she was calling animal control. At this point, the contractor who was in the driveway said, "What's going on? Who's that?" And I yelled, "It's just some bitch." She heard me, and I couldn't believe the entitlement on this witch. I'll be telling my neighbor the cutting through here ends now. Let her know, because if I do see her again, I'm calling the cops. I also saw that she lives in the house that has a lot of loud-ass parties with DJs. I will now be calling the cops every time. I never do stuff like that, so I mind my own business and deal with it, even though it's annoying. All bets are off now, though. I'm gonna be a petty witch. She messed with the wrong person. I asked a woman to put her feet down from beside me. I was on a 2-hour Amtrak train, sitting in the dining car with my food. This guy sat across from me, a 4-seater table, but comfortable seats, two, one on either side. He leaves to get food. This woman in her 40s or 50 comes in, asks if 1 or 2 people are sitting where that guy's stuff was. I said 1. She sat down, took up a lot of the space. The guy comes back and takes his stuff and leaves, presumably back to his seat. I continued sitting. She ate, at one point moved her Chipotle bag a bit into my space, but I didn't care as much. When she was done eating, she proceeded to stretch her legs under the table and put her feet right beside me. I asked, "Can you move your feet down? They're right beside me." She stared at me and didn't say anything. I then added, "I don't appreciate it." She gave me a face, so I let it go. Then as I'm eating and reading, she coughs 3 times, never covers her mouth, and burped 3 times, never excuses herself. At one point, she mumbled something about young something chewing bubble gum. I was chewing gum, but not sure what that had to do with anything. At one point, I was done eating, but didn't want to get up, since I was reading and wanted the window's view. She puts her feet up again for the 3rd or 4th time now, and her feet touch my thigh and stay there. I said, "Please put your feet down, they're touching me." She makes a show of looking under the table to where her feet are and said, "They're right beside me," since I'd shifted, but her shoes were touching my coat on the seat. And then she says,
"You kicked me and didn't even have the courtesy and decency to apologize."
I said, "When did I kick you?"
She said, "Under the table."
I said, "If I did, it was unintentional. And I'm sorry. But you've intentionally put your feet up where I've asked you not to." And then she crossed her arms and did that parental nod like, I'm not even gonna dignify this with an answer. I'm annoyed partially because I feel powerless, that I can't even get someone to put their feet down, but proud of myself for speaking up when I wasn't comfortable. I am still very annoyed though. My entitled sister expects me to apologize for snitching on her after she tried to out me to our parents. My entitled sister expects me to. Yeah, the title again. So, me, a 17-year-old, and my 14-year-old sister have never gotten along, not because she's my only half sister, but because she's an immature and spoiled female dog. For some context, like 3 days ago, I told my sister she should stop dating her boyfriend because he is too old for her. She did not take my lecture kindly and did the only thing her immature butt could think of. She decided to tell my mom and stepdad that I am gay. She found out that I am gay a few months ago after she burst in my room when me and my boyfriend were making out, and she's been threatening me that she'll tell our parents ever since then. That they already knew, but I never told her to give her a fake sense of superiority. And ever since, she thought she had me at her finger. Well, it seems my sister finally decided to reveal my secret. So what she thought was about to be a session of my parents yelling at me or something turned into an intervention on her insensitive behavior, as our parents put it. She complained about how I was the bad guy because I was blackmailing her. But I wasn't about to let her get away with trying to ruin my relationship with my parents. So I did the only reasonable thing I could. I told them about her boyfriend. Mind you, he's about to turn 18, not even 2 months from now. Meanwhile, she just turned 14 in June. So you can imagine how angry our parents were when they found out that she was dating a guy over 4 years older than her. At first they scolded me for not telling them earlier and helping my sister cover this up. At the end, we both got our punishments. Mine was a 20 to 30 minute lecture for not telling them right away, and she got her phone and laptop taken away. Dad cut the Wi-Fi on her TV, and she isn't allowed to go out at all. These restraints will stay until the end of this summer, which honestly, it's not that much if you ask me. The day after, I was met up with my sister in my room, telling me that she deserves an apology because you freaking insert slur here ruined the rest of my summer and all my plans. I told my parents what she said, and the punishment was extended until October. So, Reddit, does my wanker of a sister deserve an apology? And wait, there's an update, people. Update. My entitled sister expects me to apologize for snitching on her after she tried to out me to our parents. First of all, a crap ton of appointments over the course of a few weeks. We found out that thankfully my sister got nothing from that dirtbag as they haven't done anything. My sister punishment was, as expected, cut short. My parents tried to get a hold of the guy's parents, which they managed, to just find out the parents didn't see anything wrong with the fact that their almost 18-year-old son was dating a girl barely turned 14. My sister still hasn't forgiven me, and I doubt she will anytime soon. Not that I care what she thinks. That's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed the stories I've had for you. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, and all that good YouTube stuff. Leave a comment with your own entitled people stories down below. I'll read them in a future video. Now, hasta la pasta.